All right, for attendees who have joined this session, the webinar will start in a minute or in the next few seconds. Well, hello. I see a lot of attendees joining this session, so welcome everyone. And without further ado, because we're already 3-4 minutes into the session, let's start with the AWS Sumo Logic Threat Protection Immersion Day. With that, today's session, though it's around 45-50 minutes, I guess 1 hour long max. Today's speaker. So it's me, Lokesh Shetty. I am a senior SSE, say a sales engineer, security engineer from Sumo Logic. And we have James, senior partner sales solution architect from AWS. But before I hand over to James to talk about AWS and Sumo Logic together, a quick look at the agenda for today's session is we'll introduce Cloud SIEM, specialist Cloud SIEM of Sumo Logic and Sumo Logic security analytics with AWS. How do we carry out threat detection? Kind of like a quick demo from our end, because it's an hour-long session, not an in-depth workshop, but we will have details on how do you access a training environment if you're interested in doing the workshop yourself, and then followed by question and answers by both James and me. We'll take up the questions and a wrap-up. That's a quick small agenda for today's session. And with that, the speaker from AWS for today, James, I'll hand it over to him to talk about AWS organization and account structure. James.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Lokesh. Hello, everybody. I'm James Schaefer, Partner Sales Solutions Architect with AWS. I've been with AWS as a Solutions Architect for a bit over 3 years now. And prior to that, I worked with a number of different organizations representing both partners and customers of AWS. To help us better understand the power of Sumo Logic Cloud SIEM on AWS, we need to first understand the data sources and the integration. Let's start with the AWS Security Reference Architecture. The AWS SRA is a holistic set of guidelines for deploying the full complement of AWS security services in a multi-account environment. It can be used to help design, implement, and manage AWS security services so that they align with AWS recommended practices. The AWS SRA is a living set of guidance, and it's updated periodically based on new services, new feature releases, and customer feedback, and also the constantly changing threat landscape. The architecture and accompanying recommendations are based on our collective experience with many AWS customers. You will need to modify and tailor these recommendations to suit your individual environment and security needs. The diagram on your screen captures the high-level structure of the AWS Security Reference Architecture. It doesn't display the specific services. It's here to reflect the dedicated account structure, and it's helpful to visualize this structure when discussing the primary components of the architecture. All accounts that are shown on the diagram are part of a single AWS organization. AWS organizations and appropriate multi-account strategy are necessary elements of your security architecture. Properly separating workloads, teams, functions provides a foundation for separation of duty and defense in depth strategies. At the upper left of the diagram is the org management account, which is used to create the AWS organization. Below the org management account is the security OU with 2 specific accounts, one for security tooling and the other for log archive. And we'll dive a little deeper into these 2 accounts in the following slides. Along the right side is the infrastructure OU with a network account and the shared services account. At the bottom of the diagram is the workloads OU, which is associated with the application accounts that house the enterprise applications. And onto the security tooling account. Next slide, please. The security tooling account is dedicated to operating security services, monitoring AWS accounts, and automating security alerting and response. There are a few objectives of the security tooling account. Firstly, to provide a dedicated account to manage access to the security guardrails for monitoring and for response. And secondly, maintain the appropriate centralized security infrastructure to monitor security operations data and maintain traceability. This data can support detection, investigation, and response, which are essential parts of the security lifecycle and can be used within a quality process, a legal or compliance obligation, and for threat identification and response efforts. Third, the security tooling account serves as the administrator account for security services that are managed in an administrator-member structure. And finally, the security tooling account supports a defense in-depth organization strategy by maintaining another layer of control over appropriate security configuration and operations, such as encryption keys, security group settings, and this is an account where security operators would primarily work. Next slide, please. The log archive account is dedicated to ingesting and archiving all security-related logs and backups. The security objectives of the log archive account are immutable storage, accessed only by controlled, automated, and monitored mechanisms. And these controls can be implemented at depth to protect the integrity and availability of the logs and log management process. It's built for durability, for example, by using the appropriate replication and archival processes. In addition to preventative controls, such as assigning least privilege roles, use detective controls such as AWS config to monitor and alert permissions for unexpected changes. Next slide, please. And so now we've got the context of the SRA architecture. We can touch on how the Sumo Logic Cloud SIEM integrates and gathers data from the wider AWS organization. As per the security reference architecture, the security tooling account is a delegated administration account for Amazon GuardDuty. Within the delegated administration account, ensure that GuardDuty is enabled and correctly configured. As findings are generated by GuardDuty in the workload accounts, they flow into the security tooling account and are exported to CloudWatch as events. And finally, in this diagram, we see that Sumo Logic's event processor passes the findings into the Sumo Logic hosted collector. So that's all from me for today. I'll be online for any questions you may have. And with that, I'll pass back to you. Lakesh, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, James. So let's move on to Cloud SIEM. Though this is Cloud SIEM workshop, let's understand what Sumo Logic Security Analytics and Cloud SIEM delivers. So if I talk about Sumo Logic Security Intelligence, we have three distinct areas of this intelligence solution in our platform. On the left, you can see the audit and compliance, which is a highly scalable, secure platform which can store as a customer's all of your data, backed by numerous certifications and attestations. Now, your data, when it's stored in Sumo Logic, your data is collected, your data is scalable, it's ingested from both on-premise and cloud platform. And we do this by using a host of out-of-the-box pre-built compliance applications or dashboards or visibility platforms templates. But you will, as a customer, experience both rapid time and time to value for all the security audits, security compliance audits, immediate visibility of the data that is being sent to Sumo Logic for audit and compliance sake. That being the first area of security intelligence. The second one would be, let's move to the middle, is focused more on security analytics, where you, the customer using Sumo Logic, will build on the intelligence by performing deep search, performing any search that you want using your data. And this is done for both direct point search of what data is being collected, direct query your records, and also correlation based on what is required for analyzing your security event logs. We do this by using a lot of pre-built dashboards, and we establish monitors or alerts for you to monitor any use case, any scenario that you want a check on. Sumo Logic provides advanced analytics in the core platform for troubleshooting, and the scenarios would be integrate threat intelligence. And this is done by including our industry-leading CrowdStrike threat intelligence feed, which we have a partnership with. Sumo Logic helps you detect and alert on any anomalies, various security anomalies, via our own inbuilt outlier detection technology. There are functions like log reduce and log compare, which utilizes machine learning technology and ML models to rapidly go through and sift through huge amount of data sets, large data sets, and perform time-based log comparison to look for historical activities and also for anomaly or anomalous behaviors. An additional point in scenarios of troubleshooting, we have community threat benchmarking. there is something called a Sumo Logic Global Intelligence Score, Global Intelligence Service, which helps you compare your AWS, let's say GuardDuty and CloudTrail threat data to that of other Sumo Logic customers. Of course, without revealing their information, you can compare of where your GuardDuty, CloudTrail security stands. So there is a benchmark, there is a global intelligence score that Sumo Logic provides. And the third area of security intelligence is advanced cloud SIEM, or the end-to-end threat detection and response platform. This is continuous threat correlation, which can go back weeks, historical data correlation, whatever is being currently captured, real-time information, logs, and events correlation. So the comparison between what's happening right now, few hours ago, and let's say 15 to 30 days in past. And this correlation happens on all the logs across your on-premise infrastructure, your cloud infrastructure, multi-cloud deployment, any data from any source, from any system, which can be sent to Sumo Logic. And we do this by ingesting data from any source and around 900, more than 900 out of the box security content rules. So what we do is we streamline security events. We create a workflow, and I'll show the console to you. The entire workflow of Sumo Logic Cloud SIEM for threat detection and response is a smooth, streamlined security analyst workflow designed for the SOC team, for security analysts, so that they can come in, they can check for signals, they can check for alerts, look at actionable insights. We have an entire built-in event management, record view, entity timeline view, which will help not only faster response, faster action by the SOC team, but also collaboration between the SOC analyst and the entire team for efficiency. We do understand the importance of SOC automation. So we do have a lot of automations built into Cloud SIEM. There is a separate cloud source, Sumo Logic Cloud Source solution as well, but Sumo Logic Cloud SIEM on its own has automated incidents prioritization, alert triaging, and that will eliminate a lot of noise. And finally, as part of action or as part of reducing alert fatigue, a lot of automations as responses. And those automations are covering the areas of enriching your insights, responding by sending notifications to multiple teams, and also to take actions by creating policies in your security solutions. So kind of like SOAR embedded into SIEM to start off with. These are the three top areas of how Sumo Logic security intelligence is provided in the Sumo Logic platform. Now, in this workshop, the three things that we will be focusing upon and what I will be demoing in Sumo Logic solution is quick search or deep search, which is basically a foundation for generating any monitor, any alert that you wish to, and also foundational correlation, because that's where we compare data from multiple sources. We'll also look at data enrichment, data visualization, and finally, troubleshooting, which is detection, investigation, and response in Cloud SIEM. In order to do this and to make it easy for customers who are using Sumo Logic, we have more than 200 applications, or call it dashboard templates, visibility templates, which are about half of these applications or dashboards and templates are created specifically for security. And these help you get started to gain immediate visibility, immediate insights from any of your data source. And we do this by providing some example search, by providing these example dashboards, scenarios for most of the common security use cases that a SOC team or even a NOC team for operational and availability and downtime would want to monitor. Now, you can, as a customer, as a partner who's using Sumo Logic, you can edit any of these dashboards, use cases, real-time panels that we provide to get the desired result that you're looking for. These apps, a lot of these apps have also focused on bringing in threat intelligence. So we have a tie-up with CrowdStrike. Your records coming into the Sumo Logic platform are matched and compared with the threat intelligence that Sumo Logic has in its own platform. So at the base, the core platform delivers immediate and quick comparison of entities found in your environment, like IP, URL, hash, domain. And we show whether entities found in your environment are malicious, whether they have a particular malicious score, whether they match with the list of indicators of compromise that we get from CrowdStrike threat intelligence. So immediately, even before in-depth correlation, even before SIEM shows you the entire chain of event of a security incident. These threat intelligence quick analysis dashboard can help you find what entities in your environment and logs that we have extracted, IP, file name, URL, email address, are malicious, right? Or are connecting to an external IP address, which is found to be malicious according to the threat intelligence source. Feel free to ask questions on chat. There is a Q&A section. You can ask any questions on the chat as we go through this session. There are multiple demo. There is access to our environment that will provide, and you will be able to practice this or experience this yourself, because we have access to a training environment, a ready Sumo Logic training environment with data for each and every attendee of this webinar. Now let's have a look at how exactly is all this delivered, like a proper demo. Before I jump to the demo, let me show you an example of what kind of security overview can you achieve and the access that you will take. How will you be able to get more out of Sumo Logic? So let me just quickly share and my screen, just a minute. I'll just share my entire desktop. All right. So I do have access to a Sumo Logic training environment, and this is something that we will extend to you as well. A training analyst login followed by 3-digit number. We have a slide on that, and I hope everybody can see the screen that I'm sharing. Now, in this particular platform, we talked about collecting data from multiple sources. Now, in today's session and workshop, we won't be covering on how do we actually do that, but we can add collectors, we can add sources where you can bring in data from both on-premise and cloud store. So we have hosted collectors and we have installed collectors to collect data from cloud and on-premise respectively. Once data is ingested into Sumo Logic and once it is retained and stored in Sumo Logic, the immediate next step for visibility for any scenario that you want to monitor is via dashboards or via apps. So our app catalog is a section which has more than 250 ready template dashboards. Now, if I show you an example of AWS apps, these apps or ready templates help you just pick the one that you want to monitor. Let's say AWS CloudTrail, help you install it, which I've already done in this environment. And the result will be all the AWS CloudTrail logs or data from any AWS service or non-AWS service will be presented to you in real time in these panels, which is this screenshot of. So rather than showing you a screenshot, let me just go and search for templates and applications or apps which are already installed. And let me just open up AWS CloudTrail here. I'll just scroll down, give me a minute. And I'll open the AWS CloudTrail operations dashboard. So when I open this dashboard, what these real-time panels do is they fetch the information from the backend. So all of these panels, and I'll scroll down slowly, I'll just skip this. All of these panels are picking up data from the CloudTrail logs and similarly GuardDuty, VPC, Security Hub, or Security Lake, data coming into AWS. We have queries, we have a logical query written behind each and every panel. Some of the panels do not have data in the training environment, but activities like users who have created resources over time or administrator activities, what kind of AWS API calls have been made, different events from different AWS regions. Now, these panels represent each use case that a customer wants to monitor. There is no correlation happening here. That's done in the Cloud SIEM environment. But this immediate visibility to you in form of a ready dashboard helps you capture every single use case that you want to monitor, that a SOC or a NOC team want to monitor. For example, deleted resources over time. So the graph on the bottom right shows me a list of resources that were deleted over time, and it's a real-time panel. I can open it. I just can click on the query button and I can open it in a dedicated console of its own. This will help me drill down or understand not just by a visual graphical view, but the list of all the messages and all the logs which are contributing to this visibility. So as a NOC analyst, as a security analyst, I can dig deeper, check for information of what information or what resources were deleted and by whom. And if I don't want to do this kind of, let's say, investigation or in-depth analysis, back in the dashboard, every single panel allows me to create a monitor or an alert. So I can create an alert for any new resource deleted on a given day or throughout the week. And those alerts will be sent to your team via email, via ticketing system, via the chat app that you follow, and will also be showed on the console. So the core platform collects the data, stores it in different partitions, helps you provide immediate visibility, and the visibility is in form of ready dashboards. And those dashboards can help you cover multiple use cases, security use cases, as well as operational availability, downtime use cases. And every use case, every panel can be set up as a monitor. You can set it up as an alert to get immediate notification. So other than correlation, every single activity of understanding what's happening in your AWS environment or in your entire infrastructure is something that Sumo Logic core platform delivers. Now, we call it security monitoring and security analytics. But for a team looking for complete end-to-end threat detection and response, in the same Sumo Logic platform, the same data that we collect, which we are presenting and showing it to now, is being sent, and I'll open CloudSIM here, is being sent to a sub-module, which is still part of the same platform. And that module is our CloudSIM platform. So imagine data being collected, presented to you immediately for visibility, but at the same time, that same security event logs from CloudTrail, GuardDuty, all of the AWS services which are sending security logs and security events, and let's say firewall, web application firewall, your email events, email security events, anything to do with endpoint network, perimeter security solutions, and your user information. What are they accessing? Where are they accessing from? All of these events are also consumed by Sumo Logic's submodule, which is CloudSIM platform. Now, when you see this screen, this is kind of me going through multiple slides of the demo, but on the top right corner, the records are your security logs, which we collect from multiple sources. Everything else on the screen, which is signals created or alerts created, insights, actionable insights, let's call them security incidents. All of these are automatically created by Sumo Logic because of the security content that we have. We have huge number of rules starting from day one, more than 800, close to 900 in this environment, security rules, which will match, which will consume, or which will check each and every record coming into Sumo Logic platform. And your records matched against Sumo Logic security rules. When that match is successful, or when a record triggers a rule, the result is a signal creation. I'll take you to the workflow, a quick check on the question, which is, can the alerts, can the monitors triggers insight in CSE? So which means the question that I just saw on the chat is when I was talking about CloudTrail or any dashboard for that matter, right? The alerts and monitors that we can generate, and let me quickly search for CloudTrail. Okay, I'll open up this dashboard. Now, if I'm monitoring the API activity as a team, and I want an information about failed API calls, the alert or the monitor that I can create an insight in CloudSIM. And that's a very good question. And I'll talk about that. Because CloudSIM creates incidents or insights automatically, but the Sumo Logic team, they also have the capability of running a query, creating a new monitor or creating a new alert. And rather than sending it to your team as email, you can send it to CloudSIM Enterprise as an insight. So if you're looking for something specific, like XYZ user, probably on the notice period, I want to capture something that the user does, and the result or the alert should go into CloudSIM Enterprise as an insight, as a custom insight, not something which Sumo Logic automatically creates. So the answer is yes, the monitors and the alerts can result into a CloudSIM insight. And I hope I answered that question of yours. You'll get access to the training environment to try this out yourself. Okay, so coming back to the CloudSIM platform, your records matching security rules, matching threat intelligence converts into signals. And this is a perfect example of not just a modernized SOC operation, but ensuring that we reduce noise and we help a SOC team focus on the important incidents and insights. So huge number of records in the last 24 hours, even though this is a training environment, filtered down to 200 signals, because not all the records would match or would trigger a security rule. But we don't stop here. Like most of the vendors, we don't stop at alerts and signals, and we don't request a SOC team or level 1 analyst to look at and monitor each and every signal. Right now, these signals, and let me show you what the signals look like, because there are signals for security events which are triggered, like one signal for one security event with different severity. If I'm a genuine user, genuine administrator logging in, I failed to log in and I forgot my password. So that would trigger a signal because that would possibly qualify as a brute force attempt if I'm continuously logging in. But the severity will be low. So signals are security events of varying severity, and we don't want your time to be spent on looking at every single alert, every single signal. So what Sumo Logic does is we combine all these signals, we correlate them further, and we map them to a common entity, and we bring them together and create an insight, also known as actionable insight, or the SOC team likes to call it incidents. So insights are nothing but actionable cards, which you can pick up and start working on as a SOC team. But even before you open it up, you can see what this insight is. We use the MITRE ATT&CK technique naming convention for the security team to know what this insight is all about. For example, initial access, persistence. So probably a phishing attack. We show you the timeline. So we have correlated 4 signals together in the last 10 minutes. It's a medium severity issue, and the global confidence score that I talked about. Sumo Logic providing a confidence score to you based on what we observe for other customers or what other SOC teams are doing without revealing information about the customers or even storing information about them. The way I see this global confidence score is it will help you identify and classify whether an issue is a false positive, whether insight is a false positive or not. And the good thing is we look at signals for the last 10 days, 15 days. Here, 3 signals have been correlated for the last 8 days. And then a SOC analyst can open up an insight, can look at all the entities interacting with each other, can look at all the enrichment that has been done, and then investigate the issue. Like this one, for example, since I've opened the insight, one single pane giving me the list of or information about all 4 signals which can be looked at, investigated, and then any action that I want to take, any comment that I want to add, or any enrichment that has happened, all in a single page. This particular incident does not have an entity, so I'll open up another incident to show you the relationship between entities. But while I investigate this incident as a SOC analyst and show you a quick demo of it, there's one question that I see, which is what setup is required to obtain the AWS security score for Sumo? And I'm assuming this question of AWS security score is global confidence score, because this is the confidence score that we provide. There is no additional configuration required from your end or from your AWS infrastructure end for Sumo Logic to provide this score. As you can see, this is not a prediction. This is generated by a Sumo Logic engine. So we have more than 3,000 customers using CloudSIM, and Sumo Logic is a cloud native SaaS platform. So we know what SOC team, what kind of insights are they looking at just by the title of it, what number of alerts are they seeing, what are the categories or tactics and techniques or tags. Tags are nothing but every insight has a tag. So we understand the count, we understand the number of signals, and we understand the type of insights that our customers see. And these numbers or these count help us generate a confidence score. If you're seeing a phishing incident, if you're seeing a phishing incident with 4 signals, all of them internal IP, the confidence score will be low. But a higher confidence score will show that this has to be actioned upon. There are a lot of external entities involved who match the threat intelligence IOC list, and it's quite possible that this is not a false positive. So no configuration from your end. This is completely entirely generated by Sumo Logic engine based on the intelligence that we have of our deployments. No additional service enablement or configuration. Okay, so coming back to CloudSIM after that question, when I scroll through, I see 4 signals. And if you follow the chronology or the chain of event, a user received an email with a phishing link. And this is something we got to know from one of the source, which is Proofpoint. So we received an event from Proofpoint. It triggered a rule, and I can dig deeper, but I'll open a signal which has much more information. At the same time, a separate security event was received from Checkpoint. So Checkpoint detected a file or a script as a malicious file. So there is a chain of event that Sumo Logic creates when we receive events from multiple sources. The file which was detected by Checkpoint was found to be a threat intel match. Now, this is a separate event which Sumo Logic has created on its own because we have threat intelligence as our security content as well. And finally, one more event from CrowdStrike, which has detected an event of probably a file sending data outside to a command and control center. Now, these 4 events separately on their own may have happened on different systems, but here it happened with a single user, and the stitching together of these events or the correlation is done by Sumo Logic, and it's shown to a security analyst for investigation. And the investigation is quite deep. It's not just listing the events, but every single alert has all the records available. The IPs can be looked at. There are tools provided to look up the IP, reputation of the IP addresses, information about what this file is, what this file hash is, whether it is malicious or not. A lot of rules that we have, which shows the severity of this signal. And there is also, if I can show you an example of an entity, let me go back and pick up another insight where we can show you the entity relationship. And just give me a few seconds for that. Okay, for some reason it doesn't have it here. So let me just open up CloudSIM again. Go to insights. I'll pick up initial access. All right, okay. So when I'm looking at the signals for initial access, at the same time, if I'm interested to know which user clicked on the email, what exactly was the user doing before clicking on the phishing link of the email, the entire entity timeline, for example, if I'm interested in the user VA grant, the entire entity timeline, all the records that Sumo Logic has been collecting can be shown to you in a single console. So it's not just looking at the insight or looking at the signals stitched together, but as part of investigation, the entire timeline of an IP of a user, what the user did, which file the user opened, what was the activity that the user did. This is also recorded in a single place for a security analyst to understand which file was probably the one, or which email was probably the one which contained the phishing link. Now, these activities, and I'll scroll down, I'll try to find the insight. This is the entire timeline of the user. So at some point, there will be a signal generated. At some point, there will be an insight generated, and I'll probably wait for that. But I can go back to the insight and continue my investigation. Based on the confidence score, based on the signals that has been recorded, the entities that we have captured, the score entity, each entity has a severity score assigned by Sumo Logic. And looking at the timeline of the IP address or the user, a SOC analyst can come to a conclusion of whether this needs enrichment or whether this needs more information from other sources, or whether it's a false positive. So those response actions, whether it's point response action of creating a ticket, of sending this particular insight to SOAR, or just closing it, can be executed from the same page. At the same time, the automation part that I talked about, if a security analyst wants to execute an automation, let's call it a playbook or a run book. If you want to run a basic playbook of enriching this, getting information from Sumo Logic core platform, which has all the records, or some kind of additional insights from a vulnerability tool, or some kind of prompt that you want to send to generative AI, those kind of automations are available out of the box in CloudSIM as well. So the response is not just notification. The response is not just informing a team and closing the ticket, but the response can be enrichment. The response can be action as well without using a full-fledged SOAR. And if somebody is interested in a full-fledged SOAR, Sumo Logic has Cloud SOAR as well. So what I showed in the last, I guess, 10, 15 minutes is 2 things on a very high level. And this is something that each and every attendee can practice on their own, is the Sumo Logic core or continuous intelligence platform, which collects data, which provides you applications for ready visibility. Each and every applications have multiple real-time panels to present data to you, which can be, you can dig deeper, you can create alerts, you can create monitors. The monitors can send alerts to you on email, on Slack, on anything that you use for incident response or ticket management. The same alerts can create insights in CloudSIM, and CloudSIM automatically will consume your security records, generate signals whenever a rule triggers from our content page. Signals will be correlated together, will create actionable insights. Insights can be actioned upon, investigated further, responded to, and custom insights can also be created. Custom insights is not just via the alert and the monitor, but if I look at a signal which is not part of any insight, a security analyst can create a custom insight of their own. And this is something which Sumo Logic learns. Every input, every action, every response, every comment that you add, every custom insight that you create is something that Sumo Logic algorithm or the ML models learn. And as a customer in your environment, in your account, these actions, which will result into new insight creation, is something that Sumo Logic will adapt to and generate automatically over time. Now, going back to the platform, there are a lot of slides that I covered. But if you want to experience the same thing of a ready Sumo Logic environment, and Ashutosh, my colleague, has pasted that message on chat as well, you can access this URL and you will get a recording of the session. There is a handout PDF document with this information. My only request is it's a training platform with a common URL, but the login will differ. So pick a 3-digit number. For example, 108 007 is the most popular one. So you can pick training plus analyst 3-digit number and then use the same password. The password rotates and changes every month. So this password should be valid for the next 10 days. Yeah, 10 days. So you can log into service.sumologic.com, pick up training plus analyst. My choice of number is 108. So you can pick up any number between 1 and 999. Use the password Sumo July 23 modulo %, and you can see everything that I demonstrated in action. I see a Q&A and I see a chat. Ashutosh, thank you for sharing the details. I'll make sure that we have it upfront available. Can we create ticket in Jira? Yes, you can. So the CSE insights, and since you asked that question, CSE insights can result into a lot of ticketing system, which we have out of the box connection with. The actions can be defined by you. These actions can help you create any action. For example, the question was about Jira. So we can connect to Jira with HTTP post v2. We can connect to Slack or any ticketing management solution. All actions that we create in your account, in your environment, will be visible to the SOC team when they take actions on insights. So the answer is yes. And since we have HTTP post v2 integration, we can connect with any ticketing system, Jira, Slack, and anything that you use. We also use webhooks for integration. So in the core platform, where we use, where we write a query, write an alert, write a monitor, the result of those alert and monitor is not just to send an email to you, but it can also be used to connect with multiple solutions. And a quick example before I jump back to the slide is if I create the monitor for this scenario, the result notification can be, and let me just hold on, show it to you, can be an email, can be a webhook, can be sending information to platforms like Jira or any solution that you want, which we can connect to via webhook. So with that, and a quick recap, I'll monitor the chat and the Q&A. I'll skip the slides which we have covered. So a quick recap about what Sumo Logic can deliver, which is collect the data in one place, get visibility in form of ready dashboards. And the dashboards are not just for point solutions like your AWS service. We have dashboards covering multiple audit and compliance scenarios as well. I see 2 open questions. Is there a way to obtain Sumo certifications? Yes, there is. For partners, we have a dedicated partner portal, and we will ensure that you as a partner team can get in touch with our partner enablement team. And there is also Sumo Logic training. So if you just search for Sumo Logic training, we have a dedicated free training and certification portal, a page, which we don't charge for. A lot of micro lessons, a lot of training resources online, and certifications that you can go for after going through those micro lessons available online. All right. One example, we are facing issues in creating Chandan Kumar's question. Ashu, if you could respond to the question, please. Quick recap about what we covered. Thank you. Is you can use Sumo Logic as a data lake, data collection, data retention platform, generate immediate visibility on operations, security monitoring, security analytics, downtime, reliability, audit, and compliance. And the same platform, a submodule, a basic SIEM to search records, any records. And I wanted to show the power of search to you, which is if I just go to Sumo Logic homepage, and even if I don't know all these queries that are written, and if I just open log search and search for something, which is just a single keyword, there is huge amount of data that has been collected in the demo platform. And within few milliseconds, and you can check the response time, I got 66 results, 66 logs from different sources, which contain the word Cisco. And I can see what those sources are, what those IP addresses are. So the power of search in Sumo Logic makes it easier to sift through large data sets and get the result that you want. If you add some query to it, you get the exact desired result that you're looking for. And you can also convert it into a tabular information or a graph the way you want. And finally, advanced SIEM, or the way I like to call it, an entire end-to-end threat detection and response platform, which will collect your security events, correlate them, present it to them as not just signals or alerts, but also insights or actionable insights. And the beauty is there is no limit on which data can you ingest and send to Sumo Logic. Any system logs events, metrics, and traces. Any system data event, any raw format can be sent to Sumo Logic because we have parsers, but we also have the capability of extracting field values and creating a custom parser on the fly. So Sumo Logic can understand any security and non-security event. You can send it for analytics and monitoring and a proper advanced threat detection and response platform with Cloud SIEM and Cloud SOAR. I'll quickly check the time. It's almost, we are top of the hour. We did cover the flow of focusing on the exact number of incidents out of millions and millions of records. I'll show the slides because the session is being recorded. So this will be for easy reference of yours of how do we sift through collection to insight generation. And all of these will be is something that you can experience by accessing the environment that we have given access to you, the training environment. There will be a handout PDF which will help you go through the activities of looking for an insight, looking at all the signals one by one that we did for the phishing incident, make a conclusion based on the investigation or looking up the IP address's reputation, and finally taking an action of messaging your SOC team or an automation action of enrichment for the insight. Now, with that, Sumo Logic as a platform is something that I'll encourage you to explore, to try. We have a free trial available as well. This will help you simplify alerts, investigate threats faster, and automate the response. There was a question about learning resources, so I'll skip to where you can find this. We do have a dedicated Sumo Logic YouTube channel and also a dedicated multiple playlist for micro lessons, which are short videos on how do you navigate, how do you investigate, how do you create your custom insights. So I would recommend having a look at those micro lesson playlists on YouTube. And this is what I was talking about. If you are interested in training and certifications, just access sumologic.com/learn/training. And this will help you select the right category. It will show you a lot of recorded sessions followed by the examination and certification, all free of cost and nothing being charged for. With that, I'll go back and open chat and QA. If there are any questions from the attendees, we'll be happy to take that. James, thank you. You're still on the call. So any questions around AWS and Sumo Logic, we're happy to answer that. And if not, thank you very much for your time, all the attendees. I hope you found value in this session, and I'll encourage you to access the training environment and get a hands-on experience because what you do, what you practice is what you remember. So that will help you understand Sumo Logic much better. And all of us on this call, we are available. You can reach out to us. You can email us, connect on LinkedIn, send us a message. If you have any questions, any scenarios to discuss, James and I and the entire team will be happy to help. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Thank you, James.
Thank you very much, Lakesh. Thank you,
Have a good
everybody, for
day.
joining.
Thank you.
Thank you.